Yes, I'm going to share 6 steps to navigate your way to a bright new future following redundancy. And I'll be sharing details of my 6-step process very, very shortly. Away we go. So Neil's already covered about me. So I won't say too much other than say that I have 2 hats. I've got my personal brand as Steve Preston, the Career Catalyst, and then I got my company brand as MD of SMP Solutions Career and People Development Limited. But we haven't really got time to talk all that through. So my aim today is to give you some practical tools, unlike this slide image here, share some nuggets and challenge your thinking, and also share lots of knowledge and experience for having done this sort of stuff now for nigh on 20 years, having gone through my own redundancy journey and very challenging voyage of self-discovery, just like this person here. So I'll help you through the challenges of the career transition maze. So what are we looking at the moment? Current realities. Well, I'm sure you know all about these ones. One point to make is that on some of these is that some jobs may never exist again following that they've been made redundant. And in some sectors, people need to be aware of this and be thinking ahead of the game. And also, there's a lot going on at the moment with companies and organisations, not just restructuring, but merging teams and obviously home working becoming more prevalent and so on. So lots to consider, and endless rounds of interviews, which must drive everyone to distraction. You've got to learn how to tap into what's called the hidden job market. In other words, how to find the jobs that aren't advertised, which is an art in itself. But I'm going to challenge your thinking here straight away, because I've had this so many times with people recently. How many applications and rejections have you got to have before you change your thinking and your strategy? Yeah. Now, perseverance is great and persistence pays, as we know, but I'm going to come back to this one later on. So now is an opportunity for you to change career or pivot into something slightly different. So I'm now going to share with you the 3 secrets to achieve a successful career transition following redundancy. Now, you might think, well, 3, we can all go home after that. Well, yeah, if only it were that simple. Mindset is everything, as the saying goes. In fact, arguably it's 80% of success, coupled with positive action and following a proven process and strategies. That's arguably the other 20%. But without the mindset, you have nothing. And it's a great Henry Ford quote, the first of a couple I'm going to share. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. In other words, if you only focus on what you know and you don't stretch your thinking outside that, then that's all that you're going to be looking at when the world has changed and you need to think differently. So you need a process, and this is the problem. So many people, not just following redundancy, but going through any sort of career transition, they're shooting in the dark. And as I say, you can't hit a target you can't see. So I developed this process a number of years ago, being a very curious person, thinking, why is it some people seem to have seamless transitions, especially following redundancy, and the majority struggle, like the 80-20 Pareto principle. And so I developed this process, which is the heart of all the work I do. And it's framework, structure, model, whatever you want to call it. But it's a combination of the power of personal development, all the inner self work, with the more practical career development strategies. And I'm going to be sharing this as we go through. So, step 1, you are what you think and feel. And to tackle any major transition, you do need to change your thinking, as I've mentioned. And you have to learn to let go and look forward, not back. And this, from my experience, having done this for nearly 20 years now, this is one of the biggest problems for a lot of people. I just had a client who's finished my course, which I'll share about later on. He finished last night, and he rejoiced in the fact that he's let go. Now, he went through a redundancy situation a number of years ago. So it is really important that you do get that knowledge and understanding how to let go. Now, these images are from my Winning Through Redundancy book. And as you see, I'm big into quotes. And Tony Robbins' one here is brilliant. It's absolutely true. Your past does not have to dictate your future. Focus on where you want to go, not what you fear. And unfortunately, that's what most people do. So we're looking to go for new opportunity and change rather than same old and the past. But how are you feeling? And this is one of the most important things when you go through a redundancy process. You might be in fear and trepidation and absolutely terrified like this lady here, or you might be gung-ho. You might have been fortunate and got a payoff. Maybe you wanted to get out anyway, as I did, and managed to walk away with some money. But regardless, I guarantee that the emotions will become the same. And whatever your situation, some of these will kick in. And often people are in denial at this stage. They're not actually letting themselves really believe what's going on. But I believe that you go through a roller coaster of emotions, which I believe Suzanne might have touched on earlier. Now, this is an illustration from my book illustrator, who's big into personal development as well. And we worked on this together because I don't believe in the typical change curves. To my mind, having done this work for many years, people go through upward, downward, sideways, twists and turns and all over the show. So you'll go through some, if not all of these. And if you've got good eyesight, you'll notice that fear comes back a couple of times. And why is that? Because as soon as you break through certain things and you start to make headway, then fear will kick in again. It's a human natural reaction. So what holds people back? Well, I'm not going to go through all these because we don't have time today, but this is a big chunk of my course. But unfortunately, it's a lot of it is perception rather than reality. The first few, obviously, aren't so at all. You might be overwhelmed. You might not know where to start. It might be why you're on these sessions today. And you may be unsure what job to do next and so on. But some of these are perception. You know, people build up their own barriers in terms of job titles. I am an X, which we'll come back to in a minute. And certainly these ones. My experience is so many people think, I can't earn enough if I change career. I won't find fulfilling work. Well, who says so? I have, and wouldn't it be great if you do? And so many fears, fear of the unknown, fear of the failure, fear, all these sort of fears, which is only natural. Age is a barrier. Well, this is an interesting one at the moment because age is the biggest barrier, not just to older people, let's say the 50 plus brigade, but also younger people who are really being held back. But again, there are ways around this, and you can look at other ways of tackling that. Guilt at leaving your profession. Now, I've worked with many people over the years who've been in professions where they've had to train and qualify and ongoing learning and development and so on. But if you've had enough of what you've been doing, then now's the time to move on, and albeit stepping outside of your comfort zone. But we all have to do this. You don't achieve anything worthwhile in your life unless you step outside of that comfort zone. And another great Henry Ford quote here: whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. It's your perception. So if that's what you think it's going to be. So some Coping strategies for redundancy. I'm not going to focus on all of these because they're too many for today, but I'm just going to touch on a few. Regroup, take stock, reset, press the pause button. Most people's natural reaction is to go, 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 go. That is unlikely to bring about the best results. Put yourself first, work on yourself, work on your own personal development, and you will gain, I guarantee that. Learn to spend your day productively and plan and set goals. Just a few things, and you can then celebrate those wins as they come through. And this is probably one of the most important things that I will cover today, and one of the biggest nuggets. Talk to people and the importance of what you say, how you say it, to whom. Now, I guarantee that if you talk about your redundancy in a way that's really going to be a downer on people, they will walk away from you. But if you're positive about it, say, well, look, I realize it wasn't my fault. It's the nature of what's going on in the world. And I'm looking to explore new opportunities, and I value any help you can give, then people will want to help you. Really, really important. And you never know who can unlock the key to your future. I've proven this time and again, and invariably it's people you least expect, people you may not even know now. Do get independent financial advice, especially if you've worked for a number of years and you've had a good career and you've got a pension. I guarantee it will really pay back, and it certainly saved my bacon. And get the right support networks around you. I can't stress this strongly enough. I mean, you've got this opportunity today, and it's all about surrounding yourself with positive people and maybe even finding your own career coach. And now's the opportunity. Live the dream. Do what you want. You probably never get a better opportunity. So some don'ts. Again, loads here, but I'm just going to pick up on these. Don't let your job title define you. So many people do this. I'm a financial controller. I'm an IT manager. I'm this, I'm that. You are not. You are a person. You're a human being with a whole range of skills and attributes, and a great opportunity to look at yourself in a different way. Don't neglect your health. So important. At this key time, it's important you look after your physical and mental health. Now, you may have heard this one from the likes of Andrew McCaskill and other people, but it's so true. Please, please, please don't spend your life on the internet searching on job boards. That is not the most productive use of your time. And likewise, going scattergun, just firing out your CV left, right, and centre, thinking you're going to shortcut the process. Invariably, they're going to end up somewhere in cyberspace and not hit the target, and you're just going to get ever frustrated, and that will bring you on a downward scale. And likewise, don't think you must get another job. This might sound strange, but in the 21st century digital age, there are so many options of earning a living, which we'll come on to later. And don't necessarily take the first job that comes along unless you are absolutely strapped financially, and you'll see why as we go through. And don't give up, except review, constantly review and change what's not working. Now, this is my mantra, which I live by. Because you do spend more waking hours at work than in any other activity. Life is too short, so why be unhappy? Take the leap of faith and do what you love. Well, it's difficult to do that unless you know how to work through a process like this, which is proven and has helped transform the lives of thousands of people around the globe. So reevaluate, that's the next stage. People rarely do this stuff. What are we talking about? Your values, your vision of success, your finances, what's important to you in your career and life, and why. Career values are the foundation to build from, and they are your true motivators, your drivers, and in theory, what gets you out of bed in the morning, if you like. The authentic you and your life code to live by. once you understand your values, then you can really start to build a solid career. And I guarantee for many people who've been through redundancy situations, your values will have shifted and you will be thinking differently, in which case you need to start focusing on that. And the sign here says it all, doesn't it? Financial reevaluation, just quickly on this. This is an important one because whatever your situation, I appreciate everyone's different. Some people might really be struggling, but you might be in a situation where you actually need to earn much less than you have earned or perceived you wanted to earn. And for people in those situations, it suddenly becomes very enlightening and actually very encouraging, because if you don't need to earn as much as you did previously, then all of a sudden that opens up a whole new world of possibilities, maybe starting a business of your own and looking at other opportunities that you've always thought about and never actually done anything about. So going through this whole financial reevaluation is really important. Now we come to the heart of the process, and this is really what people try to understand and rarely do, and I call it your true marketability. And this is a fabulous quote by Laura Berman-Fortgang, who's a celebrity coach in the US. And it's absolutely true, isn't it? When who you are aligns with what you do, you will achieve extraordinary results. And it's all about what you have to sell, which we'll explore now. It's not just about skills. Yeah. To sell yourself effectively, you've got so much more than that. So it's understanding who you are and what you have to offer, what I call your complete package. And this is the redesign phase, if you like, of the process. And what are we talking about here? Well, again, this is a big chunk of my winning through redundancy and layoff course, but just to whiz through this, I'd normally go through these in more detail, but think of yourself and what you got to offer, not just in terms of your work skills or your transferable skills. You have developed skills throughout your life, and it's often those skills and attributes that you develop outside the workplace that are the hidden treasures, if you like, what turn out to be the real nuggets that you may never have thought about. So key attributes: strengths. You put a positive can-do attitude can win the day so many times against supposed more obvious competition. Your achievements, your connections, your knowledge, again, not just from work, in life in general, values we touched on, your interests and passions. And arguably all of this is wrapped up in your personal brand, basically brand you. And if you look at this list, it is so much more than just focusing on transferable skills, which is what a lot of career consultants do, and a lot of people just focus on that. They just think skills. And I've been involved in many, many discussions on LinkedIn, especially over this past year, trying to get people to look broader and think about this list and their true marketability, because that is what you have for sale. And when you understand this, then you can start to explore opportunities that you can sell yourself much more effectively in interviews, and it will really help with your CV and your LinkedIn profile and so on. So the next step, exploring opportunities. Yes, you have to dig deep and you have to go into the dark to find all the golden nuggets and maybe unlock the key to your future. So this step is all about research, optimizing your networks, social media, finding and evaluating new opportunities. And if you like, this is a rediscovery phase, but it's so important. And it's great to be able to dip a toe in the water and try things out, maybe with some volunteering or some work shadowing. And that's what a lot of people will do at this stage. And in terms of self-marketing, networking, and social media, we talked at the outset about the hidden job market. One of the real best strategies for any job seekers, especially in challenging times, is learning how to crystallize a need and circumnavigate that whole recruitment process by finding people who can open doors for you. Now, this is an art form in itself, and I'm sure there'll be other people over the next day talking about this stuff, but it's a key part of my Winning Through Redundancy and Layoff course. And also understanding not just the power of networking, but effective networking. And back to what I was saying, you never know who can unlock the key to your future. And I developed this strategy a number of years ago, because what I found is that people, as soon as you talk about networking in the job sense, the defenses come up. So instead of focusing on the target in the middle, I got people to think differently. You're in the middle, and you stretch out and reach out to different people in your networks. And it's what I call the reverse target approach. It's absolutely brilliant. It works really well, and it takes all the fear out of networking. And again, we don't have time to cover it in depth here, but as you can see, you start with family and friends, ex-work colleagues, ex-bosses, which a lot of people are reluctant to contact. Anything about the community you're involved with, might be sports clubs, religious activities, whatever, and professional associations. So I developed this because I was working with so many people who said, I've exhausted my networks. Well, I guarantee you can't possibly exhaust your networks if you start looking at networking in this way. And of course, LinkedIn will help you fantastically with all of this. So we then move into step 5, into terms of deciding what to do. So you can see the flow of the process here. And one of the beauties of this career navigation cycle process, and what people have said constantly over the years, is you can measure your progress. And measuring your progress and seeing as you move from one step to the other builds confidence. It builds self-belief, which is all integral to your overall career transition success. Again, another great Tony Robbins quote, and it's absolutely true. We're the person who puts the barriers in our way. So what we do consider possible or impossible is rarely true. It's a function about our beliefs, as it's saying here. So big question for you. Do you want same old and be agent compromise? Or do you want new choices and become detective potential? And a key part of the exploring opportunities previously, I say you've got to become a detective, a super sleuth, if you like. And the better you become at that, the more chance of success you have with your research, and then moving into this stage, deciding what to do. So it's at this point, you're probably thinking, do I want to be employed, self-employed? You narrow down your options, and it's where you can really start to think about following your passions, knowing what you want and where to find it. So this is all about reinventing yourself. Now, here's the thing, and I'm going to challenge your thinking in a big way here. Who says that you have to be employed, self-employed, or you just do one type of job or one type of self-employed work to earn a living? Why does it have to be that way? So if we're playing apples and pears here, so challenge your thinking, consider what might be possible, and you've got an opportunity to create a bright new future and become what I call the architect of your own future, and develop a blended working lifestyle of your choice. And this is all about the portfolio career concept. And if you don't know about portfolio careers, in simplistic terms, it's where you earn income from multiple activities, or you have multiple income streams. And one thing well, the COVID pandemic has proven many things, but one thing it's proven above all else is that the previous one job, one type of work paradigm is arguably broken. The pandemic has blown that to pieces. Now imagine if you have different income streams, especially if you've got something which has got an online facet to it, then you've increased your safety net. You've spread your safety net, you spread your risk. And what could be better than that in these current uncertain times? But the other aspect of portfolio careers, and this is my third book of the same name, Working for Passion, Pleasure and Profit, or the 3 Ps as I call it, is really about those aspects. Doing what you love, enjoying it, and making a living from it, using your passions, interests, talents, and so on. And what could be better than that? It's my belief there will be a massive explosion in portfolio career work in 2021. Now people can see that there are other opportunities to earn a living. So you then come round to the final step of the process, step 6, and the future may look exciting. It may look scary. Certainly in my situation, I remember it was both, and many people I've worked with since. But either way, you have to face your fears, follow through with your career action plan to succeed. And it's at this step where it becomes the Nike adage, if you like, just do it. And this then becomes your relaunch. So you're relaunching your career in a different way, in a positive way, in whatever that may mean to you. And it could be employed, self-employed, or portfolio career, as we mentioned. So this 6-step process is unbelievably powerful. And as I say, it's proven, it's worked, it's helped transform the lives and careers of thousands of people around the globe in many walks of life. And another fabulous quote from Jim Rohn, who was actually Tony Robbins' mentor, but it's a situation where the mentee was better known than the mentor. And what he's saying here basically is we've all got the same opportunity. It's how you manage that opportunity, how you direct your career strategy, in your case with winning through redundancy, if you like, setting of a better sail, that's going to make the difference. And it's so true. This whole process will help you, but you might need more. So that leads on to a big question I'm asked all the time. Why should you consider professional help? Well, I could be very flippant about that and say, well, obviously it's going to make a lot of difference, but let's focus on the key differences. I believe you me, and you might be finding this already, it's a very lonely, challenging journey trying to work through this stuff on your own. I was lost for the best part of a year before I finally won through. It's a long story, which we don't have time for now. But once I'd made my breakthrough and then started getting into this work, I realized that there were so many ways that you could be helped. And obviously, traffic lights analogy here, if you like, but professional help will stop you having all these negative emotions, being fearful, being drained, and the self-doubts and so on. It'll get you ready for a voyage of self-discovery so you can reevaluate, shift that all-important mindset to gain new perspective, find new focus and motivation. And a good career professional will keep you on track, which is key. And also to take positive action so that you can go and really build momentum. One of the keys to a successful career transition is actually building momentum. So if you're working through a proven process, as I mentioned, and you can measure that progress, and you can build your confidence as you go through, and you've got proven tools and strategies to unlock your potential and achieve that all-important clarity, then you're bound to achieve a successful transition outcome, which equals your ROI, your return on investment. So it is important that people understand this, and I do appreciate that some people are going to be very financially strapped, but it is important to consider how a professional can help you. Which leads on to an opportunity from today. Now, I don't do hard sell. I don't believe in that. But having gone through this journey myself, I really do know what can be achieved. So this is potentially your opportunity to continue our journey together and create your own bright new future. The course, Winning Through Redundancy and Layoffs, was my lockdown project in 2020. Basically, I repurposed my Winning Through Redundancy book and turned it into what people are now claiming to be a breakthrough course. And just quickly, it's got 8 very thought-provoking modules, and it's delivered in a number of ways now. It's evolved, but it can be a group course or a course only or course plus one-to-one. And it's between about 4 and 6 weeks is the sort of estimated time to complete it, although somebody actually completed it in 16 days, really going hammer and tongs. It's full of video clips, audio clips, downloadable practical exercises and proven tools and techniques, as well as a load of inspirational case studies that I share with you, who've all made great winning transitions following redundancy. So again, they are living proof of what can be achieved, and the majority of them completely changed careers. I say there's a small group course with weekly group mastermind coaching calls from myself, or there's now the course only option, or you can have the course plus one-to-one coaching with myself. And built into that is a caring, sharing, support network community and a course alumni. Plus, there's also ways that you can interact with myself and other people while on the course. So to really build up that momentum and encouragement and support and motivate each other. So here's my offer to you today. Say I don't do hard sell, but I really wanted to put up something. Neil has done such an amazing job for everybody. I thought that I wanted to put up a special offer for people who are on this live stream, and you'll see this before anybody else. So this offer is available as of now, or as of midday today, in fact. So option 1 is my course only, Winning Through Redundancy and Layoffs, and that is £100 off. So it's only £395 for the next 3 days only. The group course, where we'll get together a small group of people, that is half price. And that is the biggest giveaway I would imagine of the year. And that also includes a free copy of my Winning Through Redundancy book. And you get the benefit of weekly group coaching calls with myself and the course community and everything else I've just shared. Or you can pay in 2 installments of £275, so £550 in total, and that is still half price of the 2 installment full price option. Now, this course is also available for outplacement, so if anybody's still employed and facing redundancy, then you can talk to your employer about this. I've had a number of people through the course in that respect. I do have a separate version of the course which is targeted to employers, but for people who are just one-off on their own, who manage to get their employer to agree to fund them for the course, then I would normally put them on the individual course, but it's totally flexible. So these are 3 amazing offers that I'd say I'm putting up today. On the 4th of April, the price on all of these is going to jump considerably. It's not going to go up to the full price yet, but these 2 are going to go up £200, and this one is going to go back to the standard price of £495, which most people have been buying it at. So essentially, you're getting on the group option an absolute bargain. So that's my offer to you. If you want to know more, you can book it now or from midday today. That's the URL, courses.steveprestoncareercatalyst.com. I don't think Neil's got that one he'll be putting up. That's a special URL for the course. Or you can text me after the session today or call me to discuss how we can continue this journey together. And nothing would please me more than to be able to help people from this amazing event to help you win through your redundancy and achieve a bright new future. So that's basically it from me. So Neil, happy to now go into the Q&A.
Fantastic, brilliant. That was a really, really good talk. Thank you so much for that. It's really, really insightful to see your the approach that you take, and obviously how many people that you've helped. So fantastic. What I would
shall I stop sharing now?
Yeah, if that's okay. Yeah, stop sharing, and then we'll just take a few questions. So if anyone's got any questions for Steve, down at the bottom there's an ask a question function. Jump on there, ask a question, and we'll just go through those questions right now. But fantastic. I love all the quotes, by the way.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm big into quotes.
No, I loved it. I really loved it. So I really like the Henry Ford. Was it Henry Ford that says, "If you think you can or you think you can't, you're right"? I love that.
True, isn't it? It's absolutely true. And the biggest challenge for so many job seekers is their perception. It's not. Invariably, it's not reality. It's the stuff that's going on up here.
Absolutely, absolutely, fantastic. So first question we've got through is, what suggestions do you have for navigating ageism and fears about it in one's job search?
Wow, that's a big question, isn't it? It depends. Well, I say this ageism currently is 2 ends of scale. It's the older end and the younger people. But if it's somebody who's more mature, shall we say, who's asking that question, my answer to that, and I had this conversation with somebody yesterday who may actually be on this live stream now, is it's back to my comment. You know, how many times are you going to apply for jobs and get rejections before you change your thinking? And I would suggest that you start to reframe your thinking and say, right, okay, I've actually got to take control of my career, and I got to really start to do something different, and maybe consider doing something in my own right. And this is the bizarre thing, Neil, which it took me years to get my head round. You know, why is it that employers, and I know they're not supposed to, but they are, discriminate against the older employee? And yet, if you are self-employed, or you're a consultant or a contractor, a freelancer, whatever you want to call it, you are a sought-after commodity if you are a more mature person. It just doesn't make sense. And the interim management is a great example of that as well. So it depends what you've got to offer. And this is where understanding your true marketability is so important, because once you understand who you are and what you have to offer, you can then really start to think, well, how can I put that into play? Maybe doing something in my own right. And especially, the portfolio career option is a great way for a lot of more mature people to go down, especially if you're really focusing on your passions and doing what you love.
Yeah. No, fantastic. A lot of people have been asking, is this being recorded? Yes, it's being recorded. So you'll be able to come back in probably a couple of days' time and watch all this back as well. So fantastic. Anything else to add on that question, or should we move on?
I think from my perspective, the biggest challenge is for younger people at the moment. And I know that's the market you work with in the main. People who haven't really had a chance to get, a good career behind them. But even then, I mean, I'm seeing so many examples of, budding entrepreneurs who are, they look at it that they're just doing stuff, as they might call it. But what they're actually doing is very cleverly creating a portfolio career. They're focusing on stuff they're good at, things they enjoy, and they're making a living from a collective of different things. So from my perspective, that is the best way forward for people at the two ends of the spectrum.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Okay, great. Let's go on to the next question. So can you please suggest ways to test out an idea for one's own business? Thank you, from Shaw.
Well, that's a really interesting question. I'm going to answer that with a real story, because a number of years ago, a contact of a contact came on to me and said, "Steve, I'd like your help. I'd like your advice." And I said, "What's that?" And he said, "Well, I've got this business idea, and what do you think of it?" Anyway, he shared this idea with me, and I thought, oh my goodness. My first question was, "Well, have you researched it?" And the answer was, "Well, sort of." And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He said, "Well, I've asked a few people. The reality is you need to get good due diligence to prove that your idea has got some legs, so to speak. And people, most importantly, people will actually pay for it." And when he shared his idea with me, I said, "Well, look, I'm not an expert in this field, but I do know that people have been doing this stuff years ago, and things have moved on since then. What you're talking about is really stuff that's from the past. You need to forget that and focus on something different." I said, "I love the ideas you're coming up with, but maybe if you can use those ideas in a different way. And then, but you have to, you have to road test it. It's like my winning through redundancy and layoffs course. I road tested it with a number of people before I actually put it out there and put a price to it, because I needed to know that it works and it's actually got real value. And that's what people need to do.
Fantastic. I think that's part of what the appeal is of what you coach on, right? Is it's something you've gone through it. It's not like you've looked at you've spoken to lots of people and got a secondhand account. You've gone through all those processes. You've gone through the redundancy, and you've built a system to get you out.
Yeah,
and a system that's going to help. So fantastic. I love it.
I love that, Neil. Nobody's ever called it a system before. I hadn't thought of that.
I'll come up with some copy for you if you like.
But that's what it is, basically. Yeah. But I must make the point, even though it is a 6-step process or system, it's not one size fits all. I should have made that point at the outset. Everyone goes through it in a different way. It's what's right for you.
Perfect. Okay, good stuff. So another question. We'll take a couple more. If you have a portfolio career, I don't yet, how would you present this in an appealing way on LinkedIn?
Oh, I get this question all the time, Neil. It's an interesting one. And everyone tackles it differently. I mean, I have a portfolio career, so people can look at my LinkedIn profile and you can see how I do it. I actually say on there quite proudly, I wear 2 hats. Just as I did at the start of this session. Some people will focus on their main income stream and just pay scant attention to the others, whereas some people very proudly will say, "I have a portfolio career which involves this." And I worked with an amazing lady a number of years ago who's a case study in my portfolio career book, and she actually positioned herself as a portfolio director, because all of her roles were either executive director roles or non-executive director roles. And I thought, well, that's really clever. I like that. So there's different ways of doing it. I wouldn't say there's any right or wrong. the most important thing is, again, this is test it with other people. I say this so many times to people, Neil, test things with people you know and trust and value, who are not going to basically bullshit you, but people who will tell you like it is, and try it out. And of course, the beauty with the LinkedIn profile, and I'm sure you share some of this stuff, Neil, it's always a work in progress. It takes minutes to just tweak something. And if all of a sudden you see that you're getting more people who suddenly find you and engage in what you're doing, then you know it's going to work. I would say try lots of different options and see what works for you.
Fantastic. No, brilliant. I love it. Okay, good stuff. Next one. What are your recent testimonials or successes that you can share from Sanjay?
Blimey. Well, I've got 2 this week, and it's very hot on the press. Say the one last night. The guy literally just finished the Winning Through Redundancy and Layoff course and sent me a lovely message. I mean, I think he must be a bit of a night owl because it was about 10 o'clock at night, just saying how much he got from the course and how it's helped him let go and look forward, how he now understands what he's got to offer and his personal brand. And he now wants to piece it all together so he can make it all happen. I had another client I followed up with this week, and she actually chose to take redundancy before all the world changes we knew. It was actually back end of 2019. Very, very talented lady, real high flyer, but then had to cope with not just COVID, but homeschooling and all this other stuff that so many other people had. And it all sort of deflected her. Anyway, she's starts a new job next week, and the focus of that job basically has come out of all the work we've done together through the coaching sessions, and she is a real brilliant success story, and I know she's going to be putting up a testimonial on LinkedIn very soon. So they're the 2 most recent ones. In fact, they're also the guy who first road tested my Winning Through Redundancy and Layoff course. He starts a new job next week as well, and he's totally rethought his whole career and life strategy as a result of going on the course. It's completely changed his thinking, and he's transformed him as a person. He was in a very dark place, and he's now in a very bright place now. And not only did he get one job offer, he got one, and then he was headhunted after getting that one for the next one, which he starts next week.
Fantastic. And we've got one more question. Confidence may be a big issue for people. This is from Michelle. Confidence may be a big issue for people. Any easy to implement suggestions on how to feel more confident articulating yourself well at interviews?
Well, interview skills is an art form in itself. And I think, I know Andrew's covering that later today, I believe.
Yeah.
So I won't say too much on that, but my biggest tip would be to focus above anything else on answering the dreaded "tell me about yourself" question. Yeah. And that's most people's worst nightmare question. And I've had people I work with who said, well, I'm 40 and I've got 2 kids and I'm married. No, stop. I don't want to know all that. You know, what do people really want to know? They want to understand, again, your true marketability, who you are, what you got to offer, what sort of person you are, how you're going to add value to that company or organization. And if you can practice answers to the "tell me about yourself" question so that you become really compelling, I can absolutely guarantee, and I've proven it time and again, that people have won the interview just by answering that question, which is often the first question. They've just blown away the interview or the interview panel with their answer. Because if you introduce a number of key things and you basically share a little bit about yourself in terms of who you are, what you got to offer, basically what really motivates you, what drives you, and then you throw in a real tactical, and what I'm most proud of, and then you throw in a great achievement. And the reason I got into this line of work is because blah, blah, blah. You've actually probably answered their whole set of interview questions in just that, but never more than 2 minutes. It's working at that so you can actually do that in a compelling way in around 2 minutes. And I always say never more than 4 things. Yeah, 4. 4 things at the most. I actually practiced this with my wife once many years ago when she was going through her transition. And I looked at doing 5 things, and we realized 5 is too many. 3 or 4 key things you bring into play in terms of answering that question, and authentically, and just keep practicing and practicing again with friends and different people. Ask them, how's this coming across, until you really become very compelling.
Fantastic, brilliant. And just before we head off, how can people find you?
They can find me in many ways. My Career Catalyst website is steveprestonthecareercatalyst.com. So that's the key one. You can find me obviously on LinkedIn and Twitter and Insta and all those things. And my company website, but that's really more for companies who want to engage, is smpsolutions.co.uk. But say the Steve Preston, the careercatalyst.com is the main website. So the course that I mentioned, Winning Through Redundancy on Layoffs, that is on a separate URL, courses.steveprestonthecareercatalyst.com, and that's where that offer will be available from.
Fantastic. Well, look, thank you so much for that. I'm going to look through that afterwards and steal some of those quotes for my training, if that's all right.
Well, I got loads more in my books, believe you me, and on my course. But
I look forward to reading them.
Thank you, Neil. I think what you put together here is truly remarkable, and I do hope you have some energy left by the weekend.
Oh, me too. Well, look, thank you so much for your time. And yeah, it was really, really insightful. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you for inviting me.